How is it going, friends? Welcome to yet another To the Twin Cities live show. Frankly, we are changing this from, at least we're trying, we'll see. These are relatively new, don't even remember what episode we're on, but we're changing this over to be a podcast rather than a live show. Probably the same format. Maybe we'll try to be a little more audible than visual, but hey, we'll see. We're figuring this out as we go. Today we're talking about the neighborhood St. Anthony Park. St. Paul, which there are a bunch of St. Anthony's in the Twin Cities. There's St. Anthony, Maine, which we're pretty close to right now. There's St. Anthony, the suburb. St. Anthony Village is like a apartment or condo complex or something like that. Mm-hmm. And St. Anthony Park, and within that there's a St. Anthony Park East and St. Anthony Park West, I think. So it's a little bit wild. St. Anthony absolutely crushing it around here.
SEO strong.
Yeah, very strong SEO for St. Anthony. And I'm trying not to say the word so if I ever get hooked up on that, that's why. So my name is Jesse Lynch. I run the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called To the Twin Cities. And this whole YouTube channel is all about helping people find a place to call home here in the Twin Cities. That's whether you're a first-time home buyer, somebody who's maybe already bought a home and looking for another place to live, another neighborhood, something like that, or if you're just relocating here from a different city, state, country, planet, dimension, realm, universe. That's what we do, that's what we focus on, and that's what we do better than anybody else. So if any of that appeals to you, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, subscribe to this YouTube channel and this podcast now, and click the little bell to get notified. Actually, frankly, I don't even know how that works with a podcast, so that might not be a thing. Gonna have to look into that. There it was. See, way
He's
longer.
in his head.
Yeah.
Just let it ride.
Way longer than it had to be because I thought about it. So do me that favor, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to get notified, leave a comment of any sort if you wouldn't mind. If you like the idea of a podcast, maybe you are thinking about moving here, maybe you're considering sort of looking for a place and you like the idea of being able to do it while you're in the car, while you're driving to work, something like that. A lot of y'all are out there on the West Coast driving an hour or two to work. Maybe this would be a great podcast on the weekly, to think about where you want to live in the Twin Cities, listening to this podcast. Obviously, it's a video podcast as well. So, that was a bit verbose. I apologize for my lexicon you take out and just all the words. So, for right now, we're going to hop over to Steve. We're going to talk through just the overall market of the Twin Cities housing market, and then also he'll dive deeper into specifically the housing market as it pertains to St. Anthony Park. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? My name is Steve Wilk. You can reach me if you're interested in talking to me or asking any follow-up questions that you might have, or if you're interested in working with me. My phone number is 763-360-9291. Please feel free to give me a call or text anytime. Find me on Instagram. Steve Wilk Realtor is my handle. I am not reducing my usage, so just wanted to say that up front.
Excellent.
We're going to dive into some statistics regarding the Twin Cities real estate market as it exists on the whole. So, first thing that we always like to look at is the showing activity. We actually went down kind of significantly from last week, which is strange for this time of year. We were at 17,690 showings total across the entire MLS for this week, which is a 15% decrease from where we were last week, which is strange because this same week a year ago, there was a slight increase here, as this blue bar here is, on my pipped, yeah. So you can see last year, slight increase in this same week. This year, kind of a significant decrease. We're also at a pretty significant decrease in new listings. I did a little bit of research just to see how many new listings there were in this last week and compared it to the previous 4 weeks. As you can see, we're at 786 new listings in the Twin Cities this last week. A pretty significant drop from the week prior. We were at 928. That's also about a 15% decrease Kind of interesting that those two figures are so close, the amount of total showings and the amount of new listings. Obviously, with fewer new listings, that's fewer homes for potential buyers to go look at, so that kind of explains some of the decrease in showings. The other thing, I did get confirmation from our preferred lender that rates did jump up again a little bit last week. It could have something to do with the decrease in total showings as well. As for why there were 15% fewer listings in the second week of April, I guess it was the first week of April.
Easter.
Yeah, I mean that's possible, but that's what I'm saying though. Same week last year, there was not that same decrease. Difficult to figure out why. All the reasons why, I should say. It always comes down to, at least when we're talking about this year, what's happening with interest rates and how they're bouncing around, and what that's doing to buyers who are in the market and potentially maybe taking a step back or playing the rates as they go, day by day or week by week. But yeah, either way, kind of a significant decrease in both new listings and total showings in the Twin Cities. Let's see. I also wanted to take a quick look at new listings by the day. We typically think of new listings coming on the market primarily on Thursday and Friday for the weekend. Actually, I found that not to be the case this last week. They're pretty evenly distributed between Monday through Friday, and then obviously the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, it was by far fewer. Just kind of wanted to put that out there because I would have guessed that Thursday and Friday is always, especially this time of year, always significantly more new listings coming on the market. Wasn't necessarily the case last week. I just kind of wanted to point that out. Another little bit of data that I collected. We do talk about median sale price a lot and where in the different areas of the Twin Cities on the whole. I did take a look at every pending listing. So pending is a status that a home goes into after an offer is accepted. Once it gets through all the contingencies, most usually inspection. So once it gets through inspection, it'll go into a pending status. So every pending property is just kind of waiting to officially sell. So I wanted to take a look at what's the median list price of all those pending properties and see and compare it to the median sale price of what we know currently. So the median list price of all pending properties is right at $400,000, which is a pretty considerate increase from where the median sale price is right now, right around $365,000. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with those properties once they sell, where they end up at. One factor that could be bumping that up is what we talked about a little bit last week, which is the new build effect. We talked about how much of the market is actual new builds, or how much of the active inventory is new builds, and how that kind of skews the median sale price, or the median list price of homes that are currently on the market. And not a majority of the homes that are currently pending, but a good portion of them. I think the number that I found was like around 40% are new builds. So that could be dragging that median list price up as well, but we'll see. We'll know more once those homes officially close. But and then last thing, I did a look to see how many active homes are on the market today at this moment compared to last week, Tuesday in the afternoon, and it was almost exactly the same. Last week was 3,182 active listings. This week was 3,179, which I found kind of interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's crazy. Okay. So, and was that now we're also going to go into specific to St. Anthony Park,
yep,
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit about where St. Anthony Park is at. One thing I like to do with these when we're talking neighborhood or suburb specific is to take a look at just everything that's sold since the January 1st of 2022. Just kind of see a breakdown of what style of homes are in the area. So St. Anthony Park, relatively small. Here, I'll do you can see there what the boundary is. So it's a pretty small area, relatively speaking. And then we'll take a look at the breakdown. So only 84 listings have sold since January 1st of last year. To put that in some perspective, the week we did Woodbury, it was like right around 1,300. So, drastically different. But again, we're talking about kind of a smaller neighborhood of St. Paul. Single family homes, 52 of that 84. Pretty much no townhomes, only 2. And then condos, actually a good amount, 30 of that 84. So kind of an interesting mix. Normally we see, in the suburbs it's primarily single family homes or townhomes. In the city it's mostly single family homes or condos. This kind of falls in line with that. And then just to kind of take a look at the top end of the range, just under $1 million, what 915,000 was the maximum price that a home sold for last year. I just wanted to shout out this one. I saw this house in person last year. It was my favorite home that I saw last year, and part of the reason why I suggested we do St. Anthony Park, because there are such cool, just very, very cool design homes in the area for how small of an area it is.
That is very cool.
Windows galore.
For sure. So yeah, that one, very interesting. So listed at $725, sold for $850. So that one sold for $125,000 over list price. So whoever bought that agreed with me. It was also very cool.
Yeah.
True mid-centuries tend to behave that way.
This one was actually built in '81 though,
Hmm.
which is but yeah, it's obviously
Kinda
taking
that
some of
vibe.
that. Oh, it's definitely got that vibe. But anyway, the other interesting thing, I didn't see any in the pictures, but there's a shower that was totally, it wasn't tile, it wasn't like an insert, it was just wood around the shower, which
Interesting.
was a little bit strange. But also generally like to take a look at some of what the median sale price of homes in the last couple years are in a particular area. I normally like to have this pulled up, but unfortunately I can't have 2 pages up at once on this. So bear with me here.
Yeah, I think actually the housing stock, when we were doing the virtual tour of it, which if you haven't watched, you should watch, the housing stock is really beautiful, like pretty consistently, at least interesting throughout. So in my head about it. It's really small, not a ton of homes at all, but especially on this sort of northern edge, if you can pit me, this sort of northern edge, it gets a lot closer, well, much newer in stock overall, particularly, right next to the St. Paul campus, and as it sort of butts up right into Falcon Heights, it's interesting how old so much of it is for there to be like 2 blocks that are considerably newer. It's just, I wonder if there was something there before, or
Right.
why that got developed so much later. I doubt there were scrapes back in the day, but
No, that wouldn't.
people weren't
that
really
does- Also,
doing
there
that.
are enough. There are a couple, like 20s or 30s built homes, or at least that look like 20s or 30s built homes, mixed in
Yeah.
with the 50s and 60s, primarily 50s and 60s in that northern area, which we kind of highlighted in the video. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is why and how that the development happened that way is kind of a mystery. to us anyway.
I think it's very interesting. But okay, anyway.
So taking a look at what has happened with median sale price in St. Anthony Park over the last handful of years. Am I pipped here? Yes, thank you. So in 2022, slightly over 350,000, 368, kind of in line with the Twin Cities median. Keep in mind, 30 of the 84 were condos. So if you just look at single families, that number is going to be significantly higher. But if you're looking at the last 4 years, not a ton of increase. Now, it always, when we look at this, it's important to keep in mind the sample size. 84 homes in a year is not very much, especially when you're talking about a place like Woodbury where it has, 1,300. So the numbers are not going to kind of follow that straight line up that you'll see in a lot of suburb areas, just because the sample size is smaller. And maybe one year, a handful of very expensive homes sell, and another year those homes didn't sell, right?
Right.
And that's going to affect it much more drastically than it would when the sample size is much larger. But just to take a look a little bit at the past 10 years, the same type of thing. I mean, we see a pretty consistent growth between 2016 and 2021, but it's not that, that like standard, suburban area where you see it just boom, goes all the way up. And it's kind of interesting to see what happened with median list price versus median close price. And, in some years the list price was, significantly higher. And then in other years, 2020 and 2021, like in most areas of Minneapolis, the median sale price actually overcomes the median list price.
Yeah, it's when it's such a small area. If you look at like a monthly graph of, it's wild a lot of the time, because maybe one thing sells, and maybe one month it's the cheapest house, most affordable house in the neighborhood, and then the next month it's the most expensive, and
Right.
that makes that graph look unbelievable.
Can skew the data in a way that, an area that has a much larger sample size, it wouldn't happen that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Steve. I will say there is somebody riding a horse above us right now, so if you can hear that, I apologize. Just is what it is. We are in a lively place. So I want to pip this and just show you where St. Anthony Park is in relation to the cities. So yeah, maybe I'll just say instead of from now on. No, I'm just kidding. It's right next to Hamlin Midway, so just to the west of Hamlin Midway, and short of Hamlin Midway, it's about as directly in between downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul as it gets. It's extremely convenient for that reason. And again, we talked about this in the virtual tour. Steve just talked about it a little bit. It's a very beautiful neighborhood. Kind of
And it is that. It's a neighborhood versus
Yeah.
Woodbury, which is a whole city.
of course, yeah. The comparison is obviously like wildly
Speaking to the
different.
data we were just talking about, it really is more of a neighborhood.
Yeah, it's just a little nook here in St. Paul, and it is adjacent to Minneapolis. It's actually adjacent to quite a few spots.
It's in
Lauderdale.
both if you look at the border. Because I believe 280 cuts Minneapolis and St. Paul in half, and it does go a little bit to the west of 280.
Interesting. You're telling me
Unless I'm mistaken.
that could be the case. That's a very interesting stat if that's
When I
true.
click on St. Anthony Park, it says St. Paul MN, so maybe technically it's all in St. Paul.
I
But
think it's all in St. Paul.
the west side of 280 is Minneapolis, so
I think only for a little bit because I believe
yeah.
I believe that border is.
I could just be blowing smoke.
But you're right. It's adjacent to. It's right next door to basically Como, Minneapolis, and just to the north is Lauderdale. Just to the sort of northeast is Falcon Heights. Just to the direct east is Hamlin Midway, and it is, I think, because of the proximity to. I could be wrong about this, but I think it's also basically directly between the St. Paul campus of the U of M and the Minneapolis campus, which is the much bigger campus of the U of M. And I believe because of that, that's some of where that value comes in. That's some of where those like very impressive homes come into play, because there's sort of professor money. Not that they're billionaires, but like there's substantial income in those areas because of how slick it is to access those two things. Prospect Park is kind of similar, where there's some very extravagant, maybe not extravagant, but very, very nice homes in Prospect Park, and that's often where sort of the professors at least were living once upon a time at the U of M. So yeah, it is. It's pretty slick for that reason. Very, very charming. A lot of cool stuff going on. And Nick and Amber are going to talk about sort of what's going on in terms of lifestyle, family stuff to do in the area, and yeah, y'all feel good?
Feeling good.
Ready to rip? Okay.
Do you want Amber to start or myself?
Whatever.
I'll start.
Okay, go ahead, Amber.
Hey everybody, I'm Amber Rhodes. If you want to reach me, you can check out my Instagram, Amber to the Twin Cities. My email is amber@tothetwincities.com. All right, we are going to start with something you guys all got to do. I wasn't able to go that day, but it is called Flannel Jacks, and this is where you can unleash your inner lumberjack. They offer corporate and social groups, like an experience. It's social, it's fun. They have different competitive games, as you see on the screen here. They have sawing, they have axe throwing. You guys have fun doing that?
We did, and they had great staff. Shout out.
Oh,
Shout out.
Jax's. I can't remember the name of the two gentlemen.
Zeus. Z-O-O-Z?
Zeus.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out.
Pretty legendary. In terms
Very
of
animated.
yeah, in terms of a host of an event like that, dude.
Especially at like 11:30 a.m.
Yeah,
On like a Tuesday.
yeah, dude was
So they have
absolutely
thump and
crushing.
stump and cross-cut sawing. I don't know if you've ever done this hammering thing.
How much Sheldon?
you go, oh, I can totally do that. No, it's so hard. It is so hard because you have to hit it with the different side of the hammer, the skinnier part.
We didn't do that, and I'm pissed.
And it's
Aw,
harder.
man.
Harder when you've been drinking beer.
Yes, definitely.
We didn't do it. I wish we did.
Your hand-eye coordination needs to
Did you guys do the sign?
Nope.
That also
We
looks
just did
Only
that
axes.
externally.
Okay.
I'd like to
All
see
of it-
how Paul
All of
stacks
it
up
seems
on
very
the hammer
manly,
situation.
but
It was fun. You
seems
wanted to
really
go.
fun. Yeah.
I was the only one that had a beer.
Yeah. Well, they're like, maybe they're
Let's
trying
get
to like
lost.
make coasters and they're getting free labor because everyone's just sawing those things there, you know. I don't
True.
know, maybe not. All right, so there's the first place you can go check out for some adult activities. Second place, I have been here. I've had a birthday here. Seen music videos shot there. Can Wonderland. It's the first artist-based public benefit corporation in Minnesota, and it has an award-winning 18-hole mini golf course. They have a huge arcade, retro games, as well as food and entertainment and comedy shows, music, all that kind of stuff. They interviewed tons of people to say what mini golf course would you ever dream of doing? And so they basically got like really, really cool like artist-made holes for golfing, for mini golf. And the last one there is the Golden Throne,
18 holes.
which is pretty
too.
cool.
It's such a cool spot.
I
Yes,
need to go.
and basically it's like they are able to give back to the community with every, golf, every beer purchased, everything like that. So that is really cool. Go Minnesota, go Can Wonderland. And like I said, their arcade games are like super retro. They've
They're
got like this
so
whole
crazy.
hallway.
So crazy. You're like, huh? Like,
Yeah.
what is this game? Yeah,
It's so fun, yeah. So
very neat.
go check that place out. It is kid friendly. You can definitely bring your kids. Adults, they have beers and food and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, fun for the whole family.
Looks different than Up Down.
Oh gosh,
Which
such
is-
a different vibe
very,
in
Very
general.
pinball dominated.
Yes.
Yeah, or just
Very.
it's just a straight up arcade, whereas this is like almost
Yeah.
like a bazaar,
It is like a bazaar kind
Yeah,
of, yeah.
it's- yeah.
And it's
I like
like very art, like you get in there and you're just like surrounded by all this cool art.
Yeah.
All right, the next one I'm talking about is Jazz Minnesota. Their mission basically is to cultivate the love of jazz in the Twin Cities and to deliver relevant, meaning, vibrant jazz experiences. So they've got tons of really talented jazz artists, and then they also have really cool programs, school performances. You can take clinics and master classes. They have different educational outreach programs as well. So if your kid is into music, jazz particularly, go work with some real professionals at Jazz Minnesota. All right, Bell Museum. Okay, I have not been here, but this looks really cool. Like
It
if
is.
you're kind of into like science and history, so you've been there?
No, but from the exterior, the building is awesome.
Okay. Building is awesome. Go check it out. But they've got some really cool different exhibits and things that you can do. They have a planetarium. Let's see. It says, take an amazing journey from the far reaches of the cosmos deep inside the human brain at the Whitney and Elizabeth Macmillan Planetarium. If you guys have ever been to a planetarium, it really does. I mean, it's like otherworldly. It's so cool.
I
how it
love a
just
planetarium.
Consumes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's really fun. Engage with all your senses. Touch and see a lab with the 10,000-year-old fossils, living plants and animals. Wander outside. They have a green roof and observation deck. So looks really cool to me. I think that this could be something kids and parents alike could really just benefit from learning. So
The woolly mammoth you can see from the street
Yeah.
off Larpenteur.
Yeah.
Because it's right by Bolstad where I play golf frequently, and you can see it off the road.
love that.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool looking building too. It is.
It's very, very highly regarded as
Yeah.
museum, natural history.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like a ancient zoo, but they're not alive anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's ancient, but it's really cool, and they do a beautiful job with sort of their exhibits, right? Where
Yeah.
it looks, I don't know, it's quite captivating. It's not like going to like Cabela's, it's like a different. Whoa.
Yeah, they have different artists that have their stuff as well. So very,
Yeah.
very cool place. All right, the next place we're going to go to is the Twin Cities Model Railroad and Museum. Basically, no matter what your age is, if you love trains, you're going to be wowed by this place. Like, they have huge exhibits. The ones that they have right now are the Lego train layout, and then they also have the O scale exhibit. Oops, let's see here. Which is really cool because it's featuring Minneapolis. Basically, the tour begins with a spectacular reproduction of the St. Anthony Falls Milling District with a Washburn A mill, 1880 Milwaukee Short Line Bridge. it's just like, it's cool to see the railways in Minneapolis, like right here in our home state. So they also host birthday parties. So maybe your next birthday, you can just go get down with some trains.
Yeah, it's festive.
Okay.
I love that.
There you go.
Are there a lot of people in their 30s that go there for their birthdays?
You know what? There's a first for everything.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
friend.
okay.
There's a first. So go check it out. All right. We have, was Jesse's pick for the evening of this area, the St. Anthony Park Library.
It's
Okay,
beautiful.
I will definitely get behind this because not only is it a gorgeous historic building, as you guys can see here, but they have, this is so cool, they offer so many different programs. Okay, the first one I'm going to talk about, an innovation lab. Whether you're a tinkerer, entrepreneur, artist, hobbyist, inventor, or just plain curious, they have this innovation lab that you can check out. You can get a membership and then it's free for you. But they just have all these different resources for you. This thing is called Create Tech. It's created for teens by teens, which, do we have any pictures of this? No, we don't. That's not very exciting. But basically, you can play video games with your friends, create and design laser engraver, dive into a virtual reality game on Oculus, which I think people are pretty into. Yeah, there's your Oculus right there. Tinker Tuesdays, learn a new craft at home or share your knowledge and experience with a group, which I also think is pretty cool. They help you with some guidance if you're learning to make the craft, and usually in the kits they have all the materials as well. So my favorite part is the story time. So they have story time for all ages here, story times. Whether you've got a wee child or a little bit older one, but they have all these different story times, jammy stories. I just feel like it's so important for like bonding for kids, and you guys probably had your caretakers read for you here and there, or older
Absolutely.
siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are those?
My last one, I don't have the website pulled up, but it's Caulfield Clay Works. I went and had a beer at Lake Monster Brewing after I made some pottery at Caulfield Clay Works, which is right in that area as well. Go check them out. So, Lake Monster, why Lake Monster? From Loch Ness to Lake Pepin, lake-dwelling cryptids have fascinated explorers and passers for centuries. All right, I will say, this place is super cool. You can reserve an event space. They have private events, it's a really, really cool space. Also, they've got games. They've got, I feel like the best food trucks in town are always there. And the best beer that I have had in a really long time was a mango guava sour. Highly check that out. Kids are always there, having a great time. Adults are there. Music. It's like an indoor-outdoor type place.
Do you know if they're dog friendly?
They are dog friendly.
Sick.
Yep. I pet many dogs when I'm there having
Their
a beer.
chapsticks look pretty cool as well.
Yeah. Yes.
With the tentacles.
Yes, they are very cool as well. So those are my lifestyle must-see, must-go-tos for St. Anthony Park in St. Paul.
Cool.
Go check it out, and yeah.
Sweet.
I'm going to dive into my map if you can hit me real quick. Just want to show you, there's like this corner where the library is just an awesome corner. It's on Como and Carter Center. That's not a street. And it's just a really beautiful part of St. Paul. I think it's probably where it makes it feel most like a village, where it feels kind of this self-contained little place where you can just like walk to shops, restaurants, mostly restaurants if I'm being honest, and it's just such a charming little strip right here. It's somewhat fleeting where it just turns into kind of residential fairly quickly, but it's really beautiful. Steve and I walked there during the shoot. You got a little speedy market here, little cafe, and obviously the library, which the aforementioned library. But it's so beautiful, right? Take a peek. Such beautiful architecture. Some of the prettiest architecture in the Twin Cities. Kind of reminds me of sort of the Lake Como Pavilion, Como Lake Pavilion. Anyway.
That place is pretty well.
Yeah, beautiful. Kind of the tiled roof,
Yeah.
arched windows.
Good photo op.
Big
place
fan.
there.
Yeah. How you feeling, Nick?
Good. Yeah, I'll keep it brief.
Let's go to Nick's lifestyle.
How's it going, everybody? Nick Host here. You can reach out to me at Twin Cities Nick on Instagram, Nick at totwitwincities.com via email, or my cell phone, 612-708-8255. 8, 9, 10. We'd love to chat about anything real estate related or Twin Cities lifestyle. I feel like we had a pretty comprehensive overview of things going on in the St. Anthony Park neighborhood, but I'll add a little bit to it and just kind of describe some of this. Am I pipped on maps here? Cool. So the vibe of St. Anthony Park, given that it is more of a neighborhood, I'm gonna wait for the siren. So the Como Avenue portion of the neighborhood, which is kind of up here in this northeast quadrant, you can see it kind of running along here. These neighborhoods up here are super unique. You've got towering mature trees, lots of undulation in the streets. It's a very, very cool and unique neighborhood, the likes of which are difficult to find, and the only comparable area I would say would maybe be Prospect Park, which is adjacent, kind of down over in this area. But from a lifestyle standpoint, it's surprisingly a mix of a quiet lifestyle and also lots of goings on in the way of bars and restaurants and things to do. It's a really happening spot of the city. Just some of the things that you can see here up in this area. You've got Nico's Taco Bar, Colossal Cafe, Finnish Bistro, a lot of the cool neighborhood spots, Mims Cafe up here over by the U of M St. Paul campus. And then you've got kind of the industrial area here right in the center, which is basically dividing the neighborhood in half. Energy Park Drive there. You can see all the train rails here. This southern part where you've got all the breweries and coffee shops and stuff like that, Flannel Jack's is actually just a little bit to the east over here. You've got some of these old late 1800s, early 1900s bricks buildings. It's just a cool area that kind of feels like, I guess I would say, North Loop, in the sense that a lot of these areas have been refurbished and now there's fun things going on there. As you can see here, this little kick out over on the right is kind of its own thing, but you've got the Minnesota State Fairgrounds here, which are butting up right against, again, the U of M St. Paul campus, which this whole area over here is quiet. It's beautiful. I spent a lot of time over there. I have friends that worked over in the area.
It is quiet over there.
It is. It's hard to describe. It's a very unique area of the city. Let's see. From a transportation standpoint, you're in between Amini and St. Paul. The light rail green line runs right along here, along University, so you can get pretty much wherever you need to go via rail, or I believe there's city buses that run in the area. And if you needed to catch an Uber, it would be pretty darn easy.
Oh yeah.
Day-to-day amenities and errand destinations, I mean, really this is more of again, it's a neighborhood, so I would say going to get groceries and things of that nature, you're more than likely going to either be going downtown Minneapolis or St. Paul, maybe Hamlin Midway. There's a Target and some stuff going on over there. Otherwise, Roseville is just a hop, skip, and a jump here to the north, and there's just more than you could ever need, the likes of Woodbury and any of our Apple Valley, those types of suburbs. From a green space standpoint, I kind of already just lightly touched on it, but you can see in the northern part here, lots of little local parks just kind of dotted throughout here. The University of Minnesota itself has some green spaces, and then you've also got beautiful Lake Como and Como Park, probably like a 5 to 8 minute drive from here, or it would be a very short bike ride. You've got the Como Park Zoo and Conservatory. There's a golf course over there as well, and plenty of outdoor space. Also, just to the north, I also briefly mentioned the U of M Les Bolstad golf course is where the U of M golf teams practice. It's a beautiful facility, open to the public, quite affordable.
Have you golfed there?
Many times.
Cool.
Many times. It's kind of my home course, if you will. And then the Bell Museum is over here, which Amber just mentioned, and there's plenty of places to walk around over there. Let's see.
So we need to take some field trips to some of these places.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be really fun.
Some memorable places, just in the way of eating, drinking, and being merry. Station 280, they've got a killer buffalo chicken wrap and pull tabs. It's that kind of joint that's up over here in the very northwest corner.
Those pull tabs are addicting.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
rarely ever do them, but when you do, you're like, oh my gosh, I want $5. Okay,
Yeah, I'm not, you know.
So fun.
And I just like that vibe. Colossal Cafe, which I may have already mentioned. Carta Thai, which is close to Nico's Tacos and Finnish Bistro. Their Thai food is bomb. And this whole strip here is just, it's that mom and pop feel. There's nothing really chain related in that area at all. So I would say a lot of folks that we chat with are looking for that walkability. We distinguish the difference between walkability for errands and just going for a leisurely stroll. You could definitely walk from these neighborhoods over here to grab a bite to eat in the neighborhood or do something like that. There's also a mobile gas station in the middle, so that's always nice to have, kind of from a convenience standpoint.
Yeah, shout out mobile.
Yeah. The little wine shop, Pho 79 is just to the south over here. I mean, Dogwood Coffee, Urban Growler Brewing. There's tons of stuff to do. I would say as a whole, the lifestyle is going to be just awesome.
Steve says Pho 79 is his favorite. He goes there once
That's
a week.
favorite?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
People are very particular about that too.
Yeah.
Handful of breweries, and again, being in between both cities, I mean, you're just flanked by a plethora of things to do. It's just a really, it's a nice spot.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything. The last thing that I'll mention from an outdoor standpoint, the East River Parkway here, which runs along the river, is quite beautiful, as is the West River Parkway, which can be accessed via the Franklin Avenue Bridge. That's pretty much all I've got, but I wanted to say there are 2 holidays in the neighborhood. Shout out to Steve since he had to take off. So, in addition to the mobile.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool, that's great. I think after this we're going to go to Alex. We're going to talk about schools, and this is, if you can pit me real quick, here's just, as Nick was mentioning, the outside of the Bell Museum. It is a really beautiful structure, and in sort of like the agricultural, amidst the agricultural part of the St. Paul campus. And kind of as you go down this way, you get closer to the campus, and right over here, I think, is Hoyt. Oh, I think I went past Hoyt, but let's go into the little neighborhood, just kind of show you around. A lot of tree-lined streets, which we actually we didn't get to shoot during a nice spring kind of situation because it kind of wasn't spring yet, but hopefully this gets the point across a little bit, and I'm sure at some point again we will shoot it when the weather and the sort of trees and foliage is a little bit more full, but it is beautiful. You can obviously tell that there's tree-lined streets like all throughout, and kind of a hilly, rolling hills neighborhood, and
lots of undulation.
Undulation, as Nick said. Yeah, here's probably more what it looks like right now.
It's a slick spot. Seriously, it's one of the more unique neighborhoods in all the city.
It is absolutely a beautiful area. So, how are you feeling?
Good.
Okay, we're going to hop over to Alex. He's going to talk about schools in St. Anthony Park.
Cool. Hey guys, Alex here. Going to be talking, like Jesse said, St. Anthony Park schools. Before that, feel free to reach out to me with any questions about schools, not only limited to St. Anthony Park, but all around. Done quite a few episodes now, so I'm very familiar with the schools, but you can reach me at alex@tothetwincities.com. Follow me on Instagram, alex2thetwincities, or you can shoot me a text at 952-446-5604. So, talking about schools here, there are actually only 2 schools within the boundaries of St. Anthony Park, obviously a very small area. That is St. Anthony Park Elementary School and the Avalon School, which is a charter school. Both those schools have B+ ratings on niche.com, but it's also important to keep in mind that Minnesota has an open enrollment policy, so students can enroll pretty much in any school, just obviously limited by transportation. So a nearby school would be Roseville, about 10-ish minutes away, and I think 10 and 15 minutes away probably.
Yeah, you gotta hit those early enrollment dates too.
Yeah.
Which have already passed, believe it or not.
Yeah, so just something to keep in mind. But yeah, Roseville High School, A- on niche.com, definitely better academics. Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to talk about regarding schools. I think that would cover like kind of the public school aspect of it. But I do want to talk about the St. Paul campus of the University of Minnesota, which is pretty close nearby. I know Nick kind of touched on it a little bit, but the St. Paul campus includes 2 museums. I think the Bell Museum is one of them. Also a plant conservatory, greenhouses, a student-run organic farm, and more. The St. Paul campus is really big on agriculture. I think that's where most of kind of like the agriculture majors are located. Like classes will be over there. There's also, or I guess I'll take a step back here. Half the design school has their classes over there as well. So if you're a design student, you might be commuting between both the St. Paul campus and the Minneapolis campus. The College of Veterinary Medicine clinics are also nearby. Definitely want to give a big shout out to those clinics because when my dog broke her leg, that is where we took her, and they did a phenomenal job. It was like seriously one of the most like stressful few weeks of my life, but she's super healthy. So big shout out to them.
I'd like to piggyback on that shout out.
Yeah.
Big shout out to that place. They saved my cat Sinclair when he was a small baby, and maybe not small baby, year and a half, but he had a urinary tract blockage, and by all accounts would have died pretty much everywhere else. But they basically gifted me some, I don't know, money, fundamentally, some funding toward his recovery, and he survived.
Dude, they're awesome.
He's still with me. That was like 10 years ago, probably.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
They are awesome. Like, I don't think we could have gotten into any other place, and then we drove across town to get
Yeah,
there.
mine was
and,
like midnight on a Sunday.
Yeah, ours was Sunday too.
Dude, holy crap! Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in rough shape.
So yeah, huge shout out to them. Okay, it's kind of like an emotional 180, but
Yeah.
there's also a Raptor Center.
Also sick. I guess
Also
that's
sick.
yeah.
Yeah, there's dude meet. Sorry. that was a 180. Yeah, meet and greet with big birds of prey. So pretty cool there. I'm losing it. Okay.
We're like that newscaster talking about crispy bacon. I've seen that video.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's a
gosh.
good one. Yeah, but with that said, the St. Paul campus, it is detached from kind of the bustling area of Dinkytown, and so it is a much quieter and more peaceful campus. There are a lot of opportunities to get out and exercise. There's soccer fields, tennis courts, golf course. Shout out Les Bolstead. Yeah, the place is awesome. Also doubles as a cross-country ski track in winter. I have skied there. It's awesome.
They
And
take great care of it.
yeah, no, they do a great job. And yeah, I mean, indoor gym, swimming pool, rock climbing wall, all that jazz. Yeah, I'm saying you're
It's all
noticing
good.
it.
The team is doing Toastmasters lately.
Yeah,
That's just my own personal thing. Nobody else has to take me up on that.
yeah. I see you looking over every time I say it, and it's just like a reminder for yourself. So I'm glad I can help with that. Yeah, I mentioned half the design schools over there, mostly agricultural classes, but all in all, it is a much quieter area. It's a nice switch up from kind of a busier area on the other side of campus. Big lawn in the middle of the St. Paul campus. A lot of people like throw frisbee over there, read, whatever, all that kind of stuff. There are also farm animals, being that it's kind of the agricultural center, sheeps, cows, pigs you can go visit if you so desire. Yeah, and you mentioned Mims, but you didn't mention the chicken shawarma.
I did not. I saved that for you.
Thank you. Yeah, honorable mention to chicken shawarma at Mims. But that's all I have for schools. Again, kind of a lower list, but yeah, I'll turn it back over to you guys.
Sweet. Yeah, I think next after this we're going to go into Nick's picks. I just want to show you a little bit more about, like, visually show you what the campus is. I will say I'm looking right into the sun, so it's not very aesthetically pleasing, but it's a really beautiful campus and much smaller. So if there happens to be anybody out here who intends to be going to the St. Paul campus and you're curious for some of this, obviously you can do some Google mapping if you want, but It is quite a beautiful. Wow, that was an unbelievable turn that just took. But it's a really beautiful campus, and the area right around it is really great as well. Very charming homes, and tree-lined streets.
Cleveland's one of those iconic streets.
Yeah, the architecture
all the way down to the river.
Yeah.
In Highland Park.
It's beautiful. I'm just a fan of the architecture here. It feels kind of old school, and I don't know, almost European at times, which is maybe feels like a stretch to some people, but I actually think that there are moments where it feels like you could film a movie based in like the UK on that campus and nobody would blink an eye. But you can unpit me. How you feeling, Nick?
I'm ready, man.
All right, let's go to Nick's picks. Here we go.
Sweet. What's going on, y'all? I just introduced myself, so I will spare the redundancies. We'll hop right into it. I'm going to start by saying, throwing it back to what Steve was mentioning earlier, a lot of the inventory in this area is either single family or condos. Also, I could not find anything over $1 million, so we've got 4 categories today. So this will be a little bit more brief. Hoping that I'm pipped. The first one here is a high-rise condo. It's a 1-bed, 2-bath that was built in 2004. You've got 1 covered garage stall and just over 1,000 square feet. Currently 6 days on the market. Also, the association fee on this one is $392, which is levied monthly. Central heating and cooling, as you would suspect for an early 2000s build, and that HOA fee does cover cable TV, internet, and lawn care. So not a ton, but jump into some of the photos here. Nice spot for 250K, 1,100 square feet. It's got an outdoor balcony. Definitely got some of those early 2000s finishes as far as some of the lighter woodwork, but overall it's a nice unit. Got the granite counters, white appliances.
A lot of light coming in too.
Yeah, 100%. So you've got the powder room kind of accessible to the main living area, and then ensuite bathroom for the owner's bedroom / suite. Pretty basic as far as the finishes, but there's not a ton of inventory in the area, given that it's a more of a niche zip code that is under 300,000. So, in-unit washer and dryer, which is also nice, and then there is your balcony, which is actually quite large. So, that's all I've got for this one. Give me just a moment. So that was the sub 300K. We're going to be bopping over to the 300 to 550. This is coming soon. I was actually pretty stoked on this because we've been kind of gassing this area up. It is kind of pricey to live here. There's not a ton of stuff that's in this price point. So this one's coming soon. 2-bed, 1-bath, just over 1,000 square feet. You've got 1 garage, and this was built in 1924. This is a single family residence.
It's cute.
Yeah, it's a cutie. Call that a little bungalow, yeah? 0.17 acres, so a good sized yard, and it does have central heating and cooling, which is nice. You know, these older homes seldom have that unless someone has spent the money to add it. So, super cute. Got the hardwood floors, nice little living space. The windows look pretty good to me. Kind of hard to tell if they're leaded or if they've been replaced, but looks like vinyl to me. No cove ceilings, but that's all right. Cute little kitchen back here. You can see they've got the slide-in gas range, subway, a little bit of a butcher block type situation for the counters. I think it's a cutie for only being $320,000. You can see the leaded windows back there.
Sorry about the sirens. We're in the city. What are you gonna do?
Is that one pretty close to St. Paul campus?
Kind of. Let me see where it is in the neighborhood. No, not really.
Okay, yes.
Oh, no. It's close to Highway 280, I'll tell you that. But you can see the basement. Looks like you've got a block foundation, which is nice, so not dealing with limestone or anything. You've got can lighting and then kind of the office panel ceiling, no big deal. And then it looks like you've got a wood stove down there as well. Egress window. And then we've got 2 bedrooms on the main level. I don't believe that there was a half story on this one. And there is your 1 bathroom, which is nicely finished.
I feel like when Jesse always
Yeah, it shows well.
I was gonna say.
When you can see it's got a nice little yard, you've got that detached garage, and then it looks like you've got a nice little driveway there as well. So
For 1,000 square feet, like it seems like a lot of house.
this house, for where it's at, in my opinion, would be a slam dunk for a first-time home buyer.
Is that a pool?
It's an ice rink.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
Taxes aren't egregious on this one either. Just over $4,600 annually, which is pretty much in line for most of the city. Yeah.
Trees.
Yeah, great landscaping too. I was stoked about that one. Give me just a second here. So we're gonna go over to the 550 to 750. This is another single family. So this one is a 3-bed, 3-bath. Call it 3,100 square feet. 3-car garage. This was built in 1995, which is interesting to me. I'm curious to know if it was heavily refurbished during that year or if it was actually built at that time. But at any rate, let's see. So this one's been on the market for 111 days, 0.17 acres, and it does have central heating and cooling. It's a little tiny guy. What's going on there? Gorgeous kitchen. Definitely does give me 90s vibes again with that color of wood. Very popular, but open concept in the city can be challenging to find. Nice high ceilings. Little sunroom there. A vibe. Yeah, this house has no shortage of space, that's for certain. A remodeled bathroom in the basement. It's not screaming character like some of the other stuff that we would see in this area, but it's a lot of space and it's in a nice spot. So,
Some people like that so that they can like make their own too.
yeah, for sure. Well, just a lot of times getting those modern amenities, even central HVAC in the city is like, some people put that,
Yeah.
you know. So.
Probably basements that are tall enough.
Yeah,
You know.
7.5 foot
Yeah.
versus ducking under the asbestos wrap plumbing.
Yeah.
In a lot of these older ones. Again, that was a single family. Jumping to the last one here, this was the 750 to $1 million. Again, I did not have anything over $1 million. This one only has a handful of photos, but I figured I would show it anyway. 4-bed, 4-bath, just under 3,000 square feet, 3-car garage. And the coolest part about this one, in my opinion, it was built in 1890, which is about as old as they come in Minneapolis. Well, I guess it's technically St. Paul, so that makes sense. Giving castle vibes though, with the river rock on the exterior.
Oh yeah.
This one is sitting on 0.44 acres, so that's definitely built into the price. That's pretty much unheard of in the city to have that much.
Yeah, that's
land.
2 lots easy in the
Yeah,
city.
oh,
Yeah.
100%. Or you just have a gigantic house in the middle of one.
Yeah.
So that's all I've got to show you. Yeah, small zip code, so did what I could.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's great, and it speaks to it, right? There's nothing super crazy or not very often anyway.
Right.
At any one time in that area, small zip code, not many listings, so some of that data harder to show, all that. But we do love it. We do think that a lot of the folks that we help are looking for neighborhoods like that. That for whatever reason we attract folks who want to be in the city, but they want it to be aesthetically beautiful, where schools are pretty good, walkable to shops, and that sort of tree-lined access to park kind of thing. And definitely this neighborhood has that.
It's as close to a unicorn as you get, because that's
True.
what you're describing.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to find, right? We don't have all that much of it here, and a lot of people think like, oh, I'm moving to the city, that's what I'm going to find. Yeah, you can find it, but it's a very good example of it anyway. And within a price range that isn't super wild. It's Summit Hill is like that, but Summit Hill is a lot more expensive, and maybe like an Uptown, but Uptown is a lot more hectic, a lot busier. So obviously there are more for fans of that are similar to this, but it's a unique spot, and yeah, it appeals to a lot of the people that we help. So I hope this has been helpful. This is the first one that we're releasing as a podcast on YouTube because YouTube just put out a podcast thing. So hopefully that helps. Maybe we were a little too visual, but we will figure that out. Anyway, thank you for watching. You can get a hold of us at tothetwincities.com. You can shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com, or respectively, all of the agents' first name at tothetwincities.com if you want to work with them directly. Sorry about the horse. See you guys later. Fade to black.